How can you help? Provide a bee and pollinator-friendly habitat in your yard. You live in an apartment, just put out a planter with some flowers in it. Native flowers, easy, simple flowers. Use bee-friendly native plantings. Weeds are good. The first weed or first plant that feeds the bees, dandelions and clover. They love it. Provide housing for the solitary bees. You don't have to buy one of these houses. They're pretty easy to take care of, though. You hang it up and you're done. Or leave stuff in your yard for them. You know, there's ground nesting bees. Ground nesting bees can only access the ground when there is no mulch there. So in an obscure area of your garden, take the mulch away and let the ground nesting bees live there. Don't remove all the debris from your yard. Provide clean, shallow water. I have little cracks throughout my yard that every day I just kind of put some water in it. And don't swat at the bees. These guys are little tiny things. You know, you're a lot bigger than they are. Just let them go on their way. 90% of all bees are solitary. That means they could care less about you. You're more intimidating to them than they are to you. How else can you help? Reduce your neonicotinoids. Neonicotinoids were banned in Europe in 2013. And there's a lot of controversy over them, but from everything I read, everything Ohio State reads, they tell you if they don't kill the bees, they maim them to where their wing doesn't go right. So instead of flying straight, they're flying kind of in a circle. You know, they can't get anywhere. It's causing lots of nerve damage and lots of problems. So those are the 8 chemicals, or 7 chemicals. I would say them, but there's not a chance I would pronounce them correctly. But the imclotrid is the most widely used insecticide in the world. And normally these are applied systemically. That means they are applied to the root and the plant sucks it up. So then, not only are you getting rid of that issue, maybe you've got aphids or white fly on that butterfly or milkweed and you want to save it. When that monarch butterfly that you planted that milkweed for lands on it, you're killing it because it's got that insecticide on it because it is throughout its system. For a while, some companies, and Lillian told us about this a few years ago, that companies were actually selling products saying, look, we've treated these plants with neonicotinoids to protect you from whitefly and aphids. Well, they didn't tell you it's also killing the monarchs as well, or the bees, but you have to be careful. So think before you apply any insecticides. You know, at OSU they teach you, pest management. You've got to be smart about it. If you have this beautiful set of Shasta daisies and all of a sudden it's being attacked by white flies, and that's the only thing it's doing, do you have to buy this big bottle of insecticide to get rid of these? Just cut it down and let it come back to next year. Most of the time, I know I had a terrible time on one of my plants with whitefly. I cut it down, the next year it was fine. Most of the time it comes back that way, but you never know. Maybe it needs a different plant in that area. Did everyone hear that? That alyssum will help keep the whitefly and the aphids down. Help. Doesn't cure all. Everybody thinks there's a cure-all for everything. It just helps. Why should you help the bees? Bees pollinate 1 out of every 3 bites of food that you eat. Some bees pollinate only specific plants, which would have minimal yield without bees. The alfalfa plant, the bee is the sole pollinator of that. If we lose bees, are you going to go pollinate those alfalfa plants? Okay. It's also proven if you have a plant that's pollinated by the wind, or is cross self-pollinated, a bee will improve the yield because they increase the pollination. They keep the earth green. The bees help the growth of nature and going. They fill our farms with crops and our plates with food, and they make our life a whole lot sweeter. Only the honeybees do, but they all help. I've had a great yield in my yard since I put up the bee houses, and I truly believe we all need to be better stewards of this earth. And if I can do something as putting a few bee houses out there and leaving them out in the yard, we all need to do that. we need to support this earth and take care of it.